Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another wonderful Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada. I'm the engineer. With me is Mr. Lady Ada, who's on camera control and the everyday, day-to-day. We're here broadcasting live from the Adafruit headquarters in downtown Manhattan. So there might be some traffic, people honking outside. But that's okay, because, you know, we're real, and it's live, and we're here at the factory. And we got an exciting show tonight with a lot of new products, some wonderful video, and maybe even some Transistor Man. So
yeah, we'll talk about that
on today's show.
Okay, on today's show, we have a bunch of stuff going on. First up, the code's FONA, 10% off all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Everything but gift certificates and software. Lady Ada will go over the show and tell. People showed, shared some amazing things that... What's on the show and tell now is what will be in stores and patented, and then they can look at this stuff for prior art later. Patent week here, seems. All right. Okay. Mailbag, packed mailbags and stop by. Jobs board, Adafruit jobs board, one of the best places on the planet to post your maker skills or get a maker job. We will be talking about the most historic interview that has ever happened in all times ever. It will be. You wait. I'll tell people why later, too. We'll talk about the cyber officers. We had a bunch of people visit Adafruit from the U.S. Army, a cyber officer program. We'll have a discussion about open source hardware. I didn't talk to you about this in advance, Lady Ada, so we're just gonna go off the cuff. We're just gonna go off the cuff, as they say. Adafruit Learning System, about 789 tutorials. We'll talk about a few of them. We have a new comic that we posted in the Adafruit Comic Book Reading List series, Time Travel Tuesday. This is where we look back at the world of hackers, makers, artists, engineers, and more. Wearables, we have a great video from Becky Stern. 3D printing, a fantastic video from Noah and Pedro about 3D printing with bamboo. Phil Bamboo. We're gonna have one of our learning guides is Raspberry Pi things. This is in our Raspberry Pi section. We're gonna have new products. We're gonna answer your question. We're gonna have a trivia question. We're gonna have all that and more on, you guessed it, it is Ask an Engineer. Ask an Engineer. Ask an Engineer.
What's the name of the show again?
Ask an Engineer.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
the name. Okay. So behind us is we're settling in over here. Adafruit's expanding.
With the puppet.
Yeah, we're building. In addition to our manufacturing facility here, we are building an additional manufacturing facility a bunch of floors up. So we're finished with a lot of the things. I'm going to take some photos later. It is a big, giant, empty box that wants to be filled with manufacturing equipment. Made here.
Actually, have we posted any photos of this floor?
None, because I wanted to...
People have no idea what's up there.
No.
We could tell them it's full of intelligent dolphins, and they'd have to believe us. Hyper intelligent dolphins.
No, we're not zoned for that. Well, we are zoned for manufacturing. So, anyways, so this is going on. We have a bunch of stuff going on. You can see I don't know. You can see some things. So that's going on. It's expensive running an electronics company. So your
How many square feet do we have?
50,000 square feet. Your orders help us pay the bills. We don't take sponsorship or advertising or venture funding or loans. Apparently, we are doing something different.
We're weird.
So we don't do that. But your purchase is what fuels this thing going. So, anyways,
it's just us.
Yeah. You can choose to, if you want, use Bitcoin. If you have Bitcoin, it might be a good time to use it on our site. No, I don't know if it's a good time to get rid of it.
No, get rid of it by exchanging it for goods and services.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We have a deal, $200 or more UPS ground that is reliable, trackable shipping. Someone in our show and tell said, I ordered something on Monday and I got it already today. It's great and trackable and everything's wonderful. There's inferior forms of shipping. I'm just going to say it straight up. We don't use those. We use what we think is the best because there's numbers that back it up.
Yeah, I mean, we could ship stuff with the inferior, $4 shipping, and you're not going to get it.
There's called SurePost and SmartPost.
And it's neither smart.
It is neither sure nor smart. Anyways,
we want you to have the best experience.
Yeah, so maybe one day we'll do a Prime thing.
I'm gonna wield my sword.
I'll have a deal when I have a Prime thing. It just takes a lot of logistics, yeah. Okay, Adafruit's show and tell is every single week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. People around the world show and share their stuff. Lady Ada, What did they show and share this week?
I will tell you, and meanwhile you can take care of some stuff in the chat. We started off with Tony D from Adafruit Northwest. He's showing off a very timely project. You might need this project. He's showing how you can program an Arduino chip, an Arduino with a Raspberry Pi, or program an AVR chip with the Arduino bootloader or whatever you need to, any kind of Atmel AVR chip programming using a Raspberry Pi with just the pins directly. So you don't actually end up needing an AVR ISP or USB Teeny or STK500. You plug some wires directly, you run this code that Tony DeCola has nicely documented and even made a nice little package for. And Bob's your uncle, you have a programmed AVR chip. So he showed programming an Arduino, and you also program an Arduino chip. And I will just tell people, because I have no secrets. I actually asked Tony to develop this program because we're going to be using it to test and program all the Arduinos that we're going to make here at Adafruit. It's true.
So let me just get this straight, because I want to just back this up a bit. You're saying that we're going to be using Raspberry Pis to program the Arduinos that we manufacture here in the USA for Arduino.cc.
That is correct.
And you're using like open source software to do it?
I am. I'm using AVR Dude.
Yeah.
And what's cool, the reason why I really wanted this software is, first off, what's nice is a Raspberry Pi, we can make multiple ones, and they'll have a little Pi TFT on it, and it'll show you the process of programming, and you can have a button, and you press the button, it programs them. But not only that, but the Arduino Uno has 2 chips on it. You know, it has the Atmega 328, the main process, but it also has that USB serial converter chip. And to program that, you have to have another AVR programmer. So instead of having like 2 AVR programmers, which just gets like, which one are you talking to? And if they plug into the wrong USB port, it has a different COM port, whatever. Instead of dealing with all of that, I was like, hey, if we just use the pins directly, those pins will never change, because you're like pin 4, 5, 12, 13. That's programming the chip, and those other pins are programming the USB serial converter. And it's also really fast, because you can program both in parallel, because you have the process going. Anyways, I'm just explaining like where did this come from. That's why we have this project.
What's cool is that we celebrate these different platforms together, and we like it. It's not like back in the old days. Do you remember when like Microsoft would make a commercial and everyone figured out it was made on a Mac? Everyone's like, oh. That's what they sound like.
Yeah.
And they're like,
No, I like it. This is open source software making open source hardware, and I think it's a beautiful thing. Anyways, check out Tony DeCola's tutorial as well. He wrote a tutorial for Learn if you're interested in this, which I'm sure you are. Naomi Pedro came in from Adafruit Southeast. They had a project they made also as part of a request. It's a Pi libretto. I don't know if anybody here remembers a libretto. It was like a 90s little like palm top computer. They basically made a palm top Pi.
Yeah, there's also the Xeon. I like that one.
The Xeon. Okay, well, I don't know what the hell is that. But I remember the libretto. So they basically made a libretto with a Raspberry Pi 2, and it's adorable. And it's a little battery.
That's the Xeon, that thing right there.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a little smaller. The libretto actually ran like Linux, which is cool. You could like SSH from it. Could be a hacker. So they're working on that project. That's going to be coming out soon, so check out that video and tutorial as it comes out, or you can show them showing off there. Also, they talked about their bamboo fill tutorial, which is why I'm holding the sword. Then Richard came by with 4 mini projects. 1, a budget wearable kit that he's designing that's like only $3 in parts for workshops. 2, a 3D printed ring that has a supercapacitor and LED on it that can run for 5 hours off of a charge, and it doesn't have a battery, it's a supercapacitor. Super cool. 3, experimenting with conductive 3D filament, which is some sort of secret I didn't understand. And then 4, and this is the coolest thing, he made a DIY like courier bag that was designed for wearables. So there's snaps with power, and like you can route power through the bag, and it's like done for you. So there's like, you can snap in a solar panel, and you can snap in like your iPod, and it will like charge it, and it's like really neat. So check that out, because it's like if you're gonna make your own bag, you should just fill it with wires. Why not? Then Lewis came in with an NFC Shield password keeper using an Arduino Leonardo. So the NFC Shield is mounted underneath his desk, and then when he comes home, he gets his wallet out, and the wallet has the NFC card in it, and he swipes it, and then it logs him into his Mac. So that's super cool, like very sneaky. Marcel bought a milling machine and then used a Raspberry Pi with a custom hat and some stepper motors to make a CNC milling machine, and also made a G-code viewer, so you can actually watch it as it's milling out shapes. So this is kind of neat. He made his own little mini CNC. Chris Falla wanted to make a lanyard name tag that was like digital. So he experimented with a couple things and ended up with a 16x2 LCD. And he threaded a lanyard through the hole, so it's kind of like a little like name tag this big. And then he used a Arduino Nano and a Power Boost 500C to keep it charged up. And then he just scrolls like his name and like the event, and it's super great. Also had a really cute Commodore 64, and not a Raspberry Pi emulating console. So he actually had a Commie 64 and a Pac-Man cartridge, and you showed how you can play Pac-Man. And he also made a joystick, a really lovely little Pac-Man joystick. So even though you're playing on the Commie 64, you have a joystick to play with. And then finally, C. Scott came in and actually, ironically, we didn't plan this. He said, I came in actually because I was trying to figure out how to program 100 AVRs really fast. And I was hoping that maybe someone would have some suggestions. And it turns out that Tony Nicola did this project only 20 minutes ago on the show and tell. So he was so happy. So everyone's excited. Okay. And there were synthesizers.
All right. All participants on the show and tell get a seen on the show and tell sticker. All you have to do is email Adafruit, support at adafruit.com, and you get one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the things that we're seeing on show and tell now are the things that I see people getting patents and and building Kickstarters around later. So, go there and hang out and.
Oh, show and tell.
Yeah.
It's also just great. Like, I wouldn't have ever thought of making a bag with snaps. It's smart.
All right. How do people get on the show and tell, Adina?
If you would like to show off your project this next week and every other week from now until eternity, we will be doing this show and tell every single Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time until pretty much the end of time, where we change when we're going to do it or we die. So you can show off your project, hackerspace, CNC routers, wearables, 3D printing, cosplay, anything cool, crafty, maker, anything that you made that's neat. Retro technology, whatever, show it off. Go to our Google Plus page at plus.google.com/+Adafruit. Look for the thread post thingy where we have Adabot. You can see Adabot like here, and then but Adabot has Adabot's hands up and saying something like, "Hey, comment here to get added to the show and tell circle." You'll comment there with your Google Plus account. We'll right-click your avatar, add to the circle, and then every single week we will invite you to show off your project, and you'll probably even get a sticker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, some people we've given jobs. Some programming note. Next week we are having Ask an Engineer at 7:30 p.m. as usual, and we're having show and tell 7:30, and Ask an Engineer is 8 p.m. We are going to have.
But wait, what? So what's so special about that?
What's so special about that is we're going to have two engineers.
Two.
We're going to have Danielle from OtherMachine.co, which is Othermill.
Yes.
And
we're make the other mill.
Yeah, and we're going to have Zach from Particle.io, both on the show at the same time.
Zach's not an engineer, though, I don't think. Is he?
Yes, he's an engineer.
So we have 3 engineers.
Yeah, you're going to have 3 engineers.
Danielle's an engineer.
Yeah.
And so Zach. So we're going to be 3 engineers.
Yeah.
We will actually be able to beat you up because there's 3 of us.
You can beat me up now.
We can gang up on you.
You could kill me now. Like, I'm not healthy. You could push me over and I'll die. Yeah, I mean, I have internal bleeding already.
No.
So,
That's so sad.
Yeah. No, it's like blood comes out. Anyways, so.
Gross.
You asked. You talked about beating me up. I could take on like 4 toddlers.
I meant mentally.
I could take on 4 toddlers. No problem.
Toddlers are like super vicious.
No, they're small. I can kick them over.
Really?
Yeah, I kick them over all the time.
I think toddlers are tougher than engineers.
Nah, I kick them over.
All right.
Get out of the way. So.
You have good boots on?
Yeah, that's how I'd kick them with these from my toddler kicking brand boots.
All right.
Timberland has a brand for kicking toddlers. They're trying to revamp the brand. Anyways, pack the mailbag. Every week we get letters, and this week the letter from you, people out there, is from this person, and his name is Jay. Jay said, I want to say a big thank you to the forum moderators who helped me with this project for the last 18 months. I literally could not have done it without your help. You're going to have to go and see this thing. It's a solar bot, so it's cool. We helped him for 18 months in the forums. He got his money's worth for that $12 solar thing that he got from us or whatever. So, worth it.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
We're here to fulfill your dreams.
Next up, Adafruit jobs board. Every week we post up here and talk about it. We have jobs for people. Sometimes we use our jobs board, but most of the time it's people who have maker skills, and sometimes it's companies that want someone cool. This one is a friend of ours, Blinking Awesome Firmware Developer. Blinking Labs, you can work anywhere with this job. Do you love LEDs? Yeah. Brief blinkies? Yeah. Come join us in the coming light revolution. Blinken Labs is looking for firmware developed to bring us the next level of open lighting. So they had a successful Kickstarter with Blink Tape and Blinky Tile, and they're looking for some new exciting projects. They need your help to bring them to life. Specifically, we're looking for a firmware developer. So that's it. Part-time position can be done from anywhere. They're located in southern China and NYC, so proximity to those locations is a bonus but not required. Go get a cool job, makers. Okay. Next.
I mean, if you love LEDs, and who doesn't, then this could be a good gig.
Yeah.
You could get paid for doing the blinkies that you're doing anyways.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Big news.
Yep, big news. So if you didn't know, we interviewed Paul Horowitz last week. We posted the interview on Saturday. It's a 48-minute long interview. Lady Ada, can you tell us a little bit about who Paul Horowitz is?
Absolutely. Paul Horowitz is one of the 2 co-authors that wrote Art of Electronics, which is the book. You can see down here we have the 3 editions. There's 3 editions of this book, and this book is often referred to as sort of the Bible of electronic engineering, electrical engineering. It's commonly used as a textbook. It is a textbook in Harvard, but it's also a textbook in many other universities. But even if it isn't a textbook, a lot of people read it and learn from it, and it's great for people who are interested in understanding electronics. It's extremely in-depth. It covers like analog, digital, microcontrollers, sensors, low power, high power, motors, precision, physics stuff, biology, everything you probably want is probably covered in the Art of Electronics. It's just this book that has everything, and it's well beloved, and it's wonderfully written. And so we had one of the authors, Paul Horowitz, visit here along with Maggie McGee from Cambridge Press, and we had an interview and some photo shoots. And this is in celebration of the new 3rd edition of the Art of Electronics.
Okay. So we also did a big photo shoot.
Was that a good explanation?
Yeah, it was great. We also did a big photo shoot. We have some fantastic photos of you and Paul. This is historic. It was watching 2 giant brains speak. If you scoot a little bit over Lady Ada, behind Lady Ada, you will see the start of our Art of Electronics museum that we have over there, which is a shelf. But it has the 0th edition, the 1st edition, the 2nd edition, the 3rd edition, your Art of Electronics watch, which is way better than the Apple Watch. I have an
Totally.
I got an Apple Watch for testing stuff now because we're going to make a watch app.
What's nice about the Art of Electronics watch is it doesn't tell me to get up every few hours and stop engineering and walk around.
Yeah, this watch reminds me that I didn't get out of my desk for 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. This watch sucks. Okay. Moving right along. We had the Army cyber officers stop by. So the reason why we know this, folks, is because we did a talk at West Point a long time ago. And Bob, who is a PhD in computer science, an amazing guy, and had us out talk to the cadets about open source hardware. So it was really neat to go out there. West Point is amazing. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So this was 5 years ago, kind of when you and I decided to really work on Adafruit and only work on Adafruit. I was still working at Make helping you, but then I went part-time, and then I immediately said, this is a lot. Mm-hmm. And so the thing that happened was we started talking to the folks there, mm-hmm. and it's kind of cool. They have this new division called the Cyber Officers.
Cyber Institute.
Yeah, it's the Cyber Institute. I'll skip to the thing, it's a website, it's not a thing. This is the military West Point mission, and the ACI is a national resource for research, advice, and education in the cyber domain, engaging Army, government, academic, and industrial cyber communities to build intellectual capital and expand the knowledge base for the purpose of enabling effective Army cyber defense and cyber operations. So these folks are super, super sharp. Here they are at your desk, the data, and Brent is a guest blogger, so he's guest blogging. And they came in, and after we gave them a tour and everything, they gave us these cool cyber badges. I don't know if you know what these cyber badges do, but...
These these cyber badges actually have an Adafruit display on them, and they have an AT-Tiny 85, and it has actually 2 modes. It can act as a random number generator. It'll generate a 4-digit hex random number, so it's Not a lot of bits of randomness, but it is random. And then it also has a one-time pad, so ours are linked, and then we can sync it up and use them as a one-time pad if necessary. Not a very long one-time pad, but maybe for short messages. So
this is great, and we've always done free shipping to military bases. And when they came in, I said, we're going to show you all of Adafruit, and they want to ask a lot of questions about how we do stuff. And I said, one of the things that when I meet people in the military is I say, and especially if they visit Adafruit, I say, welcome to Adafruit. We're a bunch of weirdos. We're your weirdos. Yeah. We are your weirdos. It ain't more American than a lady-owned electronics company that started a couple blocks from ground zero that's manufacturing in the USA. You are a national treasure.
Okay.
You are. Sorry. There's nothing else like you, and it would be impossible for you to even own a business in other countries for a variety of reasons, just because of who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here, and I'm doing this thing here.
America. So I also dug up a photo that made me really depressed. So this is us 5 years ago. I was in shape and really happy, and I went running.
Yeah, you were really happy.
Yeah, I was. That's me.
That's you happy?
I'm looking at me happy. Anyway, I used to be happy. So next up, open source hardware.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, open source hardware. There's some things going on, and I wanted to just spring this on you. And I'm so sorry I'm doing this, because we didn't talk about this at all before the show.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Michael Weinberg from, he was public knowledge, and now he's general counsel at Shapeways.
Yeah.
He posted...
No, I sent this to you.
Yeah, but I didn't tell you we were going to talk about it.
Oh, okay, that's
We didn't prepare things.
No, but I saw this.
Yeah. So he posted this up on the oshwa.org site. And so what's happening is the Oshwa folks are trying to figure out if an open source hardware certification makes sense. So who is the Open Source Hardware Community and the Open Source Hardware Association?
Just like everybody watching the show right now.
I don't know the market share that we have for Open Source Hardware Association members or directors. I suspect...
No, the community.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about... I don't know the market share that we have in that.
Well, I think there's many people who hardware.
I'll call Nielsen later. So the certification program is for projects so people can know what project really is open source hardware. When? From now until the Hardware Summit, which is June, the deadline is June 26, a couple weeks. Comments and answers are being collected in the Open Source Hardware Association forums. We're aiming to roll out the first version certification process in the summit in Philadelphia. Why? The community is doing great work developing open source hardware. Many people are still looking for a simple way to know that something is really open source hardware. Hopefully the certification will be a big step towards our goal. How? They had a proposal thing. So on the next piece of little slide thing here, basically this is the thing that has come up every time open source hardware has been discussed and debated. And let me just basically explain what they're proposing.
Okay.
Some way, somehow, an organization or self-certification would say this is definitely open source hardware because it meets all the thing in the open source hardware definition.
Right, some criteria.
Yeah, and one of the ways that they could enforce it is you would be allowed to use a specially trademarked logo, and you'd put it on there.
Okay. So like the USB logo is trademarked, the Bluetooth logo is trademarked, and you have to be part of the organization.
I'll give you a good example. If you put an Adafruit logo on a circuit board that's our trademark logo, we would stop you. Don't do that. Make hardware of ours with our open source design. Do not use our logo on it or our name. So it's a tool to stop people from making a clone. There's Arduino clones on like Alibaba that say Arduino, they're not. There's clones of Arduino on eBay, they're not. There might even be another Arduino selling Arduinos, they're not. So the thing is, this has come up before, and to give credit to Bruce Perrins, he started another organization, I think it was openhardware.org, and a long time ago he had proposed this. He's like, look, if you're gonna do this, you have to have something that you can actually control and enforce. So right now we have the gear logo that people use sometimes on open source hardware. Arduino doesn't have it on their board. Arduino is the most successful shipping open source hardware product. Mm-hmm. They have at least 3 million. So at first glance, I think that a serious discussion with the Arduino team would be the first step. If you really want to adopt it, make sure...
Yeah, if you get the leader, then everybody else might be like, hey, I want to be like them.
Next up, Adafruit, SparkFun, Seed,
Pololu, I think.
Pololu, yeah, and I'm like, Evil Mad Scientist Laboratories. Talk to all of them and see the manufacturers of it is what's gonna really help if you want to see it as widespread adoption. Now, the only challenge is some people are fussy about the designs and the logos on their board. So it could be a trademark name perhaps instead of a logo, but then you have to talk about enforcement. So who's really going to enforce it? And then people will say, well, what if it's not all the way open source hardware? So now do you have tiered versions of open source hardware? Kind of like Creative Commons has non-commercial. Non-commercial.
Yeah, there's like CC, like there's multiple versions, and there's like attribution, non-commercial, share alike. There's there's a lot of different things.
Well, the thing that's a challenge is if you make hardware that's non-commercial, that's not open source.
I know, but like, what if what if you like open sourced like the layout, but the firmware isn't? You know what I mean? Like, there's multiple things.
It would. Most people would say it's not open source.
I agree, but I'm saying that we have to,
Yeah, and then here's another example. Even though everyone who does open source agrees, when I say everybody, I would say the majority of people, like 99% of the people, say an Arduino is open source hardware. Some would say, well, the chip isn't open source, it's not open source. That's what they sound like. So there would be debate from people that because the chip isn't open source,
right,
it's not open source anyways. And
but
then
what if their firmware is but the bootloader isn't? You know what I mean? It gets very complicated.
And then there's that guy that says, you guys know this guy, and there's this guy that says, well, Lady Ada, you use Windows to make open source hardware. You use Windows OS, so
and
you're
it's infected.
not. No, you use Windows OS, and you're not ever going to be open source.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I value their opinion.
So
a little bit.
So all of this stuff, it'll have to be clear, and a lot of this stuff will just have to be resolved. Personally, what do I think? It's something that everyone always talks about. There is an open source hardware organization now. This would be the first time this could actually happen. So if the community wants it, and these companies want to do it, and if it's a logo that they're going to use as the form of enforcement for stuff, and how they're going to certify and self-certify. One of the tactics they had listed on the site is there'd be like a list of bad actors. Got to be careful with that one because that's just like, hey, here's a list of people we hate. It's like a hit list.
I know, what is that? Yeah.
So,
And also, again, they might be like, well, it is open source hardware because this is, and they're like, well, technically,
here's the other thing. If there's a good list, a white list, we were told that the Open Source Hardware Association doesn't promote commercial companies. So that means none of the commercial companies that they would probably like to have, unless things have changed. This is the last time I was told. Like I believe if you search for Oshawa, you will never see a link to Adafruit. You'll never see a story about Adafruit.
Or any company, yeah.
Specifically Adafruit, you won't see anything promoting a commercial company.
Right.
We're Oshawa.
nonprofit.
Yeah, we're Oshawa members. I have the sticker that I got. I was one of the founding member things that you get.
Silver.
I got a sticker. So, they'll have to acknowledge that open source hardware has a business and they'll do stuff. So, I was going to write this in an email to someone who emailed me, and I'm now going to send a link to this. So, I have just saved myself a bunch of typing. Anyways, it's cool stuff.
Okay. This is intense. It's like we're watching this industry like coalesce.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of people on mailing lists soon. Oh boy.
Mailing list time.
You know who I like? That guy who every email, it says how to unsubscribe on the list. And he never sees it and he says, unsubscribe, I want to be on this list. And everyone's like, it's on every email. Why do you do this? It's, that guy. It's not the same guy who says you don't do open source hardware because you have Windows.
That's a different person usually.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't have to be a guy. It could be a girl too.
No, it's always been...
historically, it's always been a guy.
It's always been a guy.
I agree.
Always.
Statistically speaking.
Yeah. Most serial killers are men. Most people who complain about if something is open source hardware enough because you use Windows
or how to
are
unsubscribe
guys.
from a mailing list. And you think these are correlated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's fine. Okay. Adafruit Learning Systems.
You can't argue with the math. Okay, so let's start out with some tutorials. Start off with the Fona 808. This is a tutorial for a breakout board, which we'll actually be talking about new products. This is a really lovely cellular plus GPS all-in-one breakout, which I think is really awesome, and it's very petite and easy to use. And it's kind of, if you like the Fona 800, which is the cell phone module that we've been using until now, you'll really like the Fona 808 because it's a little bit more expensive, but adds GPS. This tutorial just shows you how to wire it, and how to debug it, and how to connect, how to get the GPS data off it, all that good stuff.
Okay. I like this thing. It's the best lowest cost module that does something like this. And just to beat this drum more, we are a U.S. cell phone manufacturer. People make phones in the U.S. We're one of them.
Yes.
We're the only one. Okay,
Arduino phone.
Yeah, next up.
We also have a tutorial for the 2.4-inch color TFT touchscreen breakout. This is a product from last week. It's a little touchscreen display that we released last week. It's adorable and it's cute and it's a touchscreen. And so we have a tutorial just showing how to wire it up and use it with Arduino or whatever microcontroller you want. You can use it in 8-bit mode or SPI mode. And it's 16-bit color. It's beautiful. You can display bitmaps on it or draw text or squares or circles or lines, whatever you want. So very easy way using only like 5 pins to add a full color display to your microcontroller project.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
This is a tutorial from Bill Earl on how to calibrate sensors. This is a common question that people end up needing help with in the forums, and Bill Earl is one of our lovely forum support people. So one of the things about sensors is that, especially as you get to the lower cost sensors, sometimes they're resistive or capacitively based. The more you press, the more the resistance changes or the capacitance changes. And so even though they do work as sensors, there's variation, especially from sensor to sensor, or there's offsets. And so there's you'll want to calibrate a sensor. Even a temperature sensor, you might need to calibrate it against a known source, like get really good precision. Especially across multiple thermocouples, you'll want to do calibration. And it talks about the math behind it and the thinking and the common ways that you would calibrate. So this is very handy, especially once you've gotten like your sensor up and running and then you're like, I'm off by 2 degrees, why is that, and how can I correct that in software?
Okay, next up, Adafruit comic book reading list. We do a series of posts every week now because everybody at Adafruit reads comic books. It's pretty awesome. This week, I want you to go to the site and read it. One of our favorite comic books, She-Hulk.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a good one.
She looks
pensive. Like, she's just like doing some office work before she goes and destroys everything.
She has no active clients.
Yeah, because she's a radioactive lawyer, and monster attorney. Yeah.
Sounds like most lawyers I know.
Yeah. All right. Time travel. Every Tuesday we go back in time and we look at something that happened, and we don't do the kill your grandfather paradox thing because
don't do that.
Yeah, it turns out if you were able to do time travel, it would just be a different universe, not your original universe.
However, we saw when we went to see Mad Max, we saw there's a trailer for the new Terminator movie. And it's all time travel. It's like your favorite movie because it has time travel.
It's not my favorite movie.
Not your favorite storyline.
It's not my favorite storyline.
You said it was your favorite storyline.
No, I said I will never get tired of Terminator movies because you can make them forever.
I thought you liked them.
No, I'm just saying it's a perfect franchise. Okay, you can make them forever.
That's what you like about them. It's a perfect franchise.
And they can be ridiculous forever. And
you can always just go back in time.
You can always go back a little bit more.
A little bit less, a little bit more. Another model Terminator.
Yeah, it will never end. As long as people are making movies, they will continue to make Terminator movies.
You think Terminators are like forever?
It'll never go away.
Okay.
Ever. Sorry. Okay.
All right, so
it's like Fast and the Furious. It'll never go away ever. Okay.
Well, it's just about cars. There's no plot, really.
Yeah, okay. So here's, we went back in time, and 1896, Marconi applies for the patent for his newest invention, the radio.
You know what process name? Guglielmo? Guglielmo?
I don't know. I couldn't pronounce it, so I just said Marconi. Yeah, see, that's what I do. I pretended that I was just being efficient, but in reality, I didn't want to butcher the name, so Marconi.
I'm sorry, Marconi.
Yeah. Okay.
We love your invention.
Yeah, well, and you filed a patent on it. Like I said, it's International Patent Week here. Next up, wearables. Becky has a great video. It's summertime, and you know what summertime means for most Americans? Wearables. Here's some wearable projects you can do in the sun.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Don't forget, every single Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Wearable Electronics with Becky Stern. Guests usually include Colin, Jessica, myself, and sometimes others. Expanding the show. All right, next up, 3D printing. This is cool because you have this sword the entire time.
Why do I have the sword? Because it's bamboo fill.
Yeah, and so
this is why.
Yeah. So one of the weeks we showed, I think, the link, how to make the link sword, but this is just how to use bamboo filament. So here we go.
Making things with wood usually requires a couple of tools for cutting. Cut wrong and you might have to start all over again. This is bamboo filament. It's made with a mixture of bamboo wood and PLA. Parts are sturdy, like a block of wood. It feels and smells just like real wood. It's great for electronic enclosures, sculptures, and of course, cosplay props. Bamboo filament works just like regular PLA, so no heated bed is required, although you can use heat to make the parts stick to the bed. While printing, you can even change the color of the filament by switching between higher and lower temperatures. Print speeds of 50 millimeters per second work pretty well for most parts, and it's safe to use with direct drives and even Bowden systems. Use slower or no retractions to avoid the gears from grinding the filament. Cleanup is very simple. Leftover bits from retraction are easy to pull off with your bare hands. They shouldn't be sharp, just be careful not to get any splinters. Smooth out the remaining edges using a flat metal putty. Trim off any small hair artifacts using a flush diagonal cutter. It's safe to clean up any blobs left behind, as they'll be sanded away and stained later. Make sure to check your gears before printing additional parts. You want to make sure that the gear teeth don't have any sawdust clogged in it. Now let's take a look at post-processing. We'll finish off the parts by applying a stain. It's real wood, so we can use regular old wood stains to finish off the parts. First, we'll start off by sanding down all the parts using 230 grit sandpaper. Make sure to sand down all the small spaces. You can apply your stain patterns with different colors or even layer them on top using a multi-layer stain. We'll start off with a dark walnut for the first layer. Stir and use a cloth to apply a textured stroke on the blade that'll really give it that wood grain pattern. Don't apply a lot of pressure, just gently glide the cloth across the blade. Fold the cloth into a small shape and then apply 1 or 2 strokes to the crossguard and then both sides of the blade. Let it dry for about 5 minutes and then use an 80 grit sandpaper to remove any blotches. This will also help you get that weathered look. After applying a second coat of red oak color, we'll sand that down again and then apply a small amount of green. Once applied, quickly wipe it off. This will give it that hint of green in the wood. And then to finish it off, we'll switch back to 230 grit sandpaper. And just like real wood, you can use fillers to plug in any gaps. Wood putty worked great for filling in some of the gaps on the top part of the blade tip. Make sure to apply it after you're done staining, and then let it dry and then sand off any leftovers. And that's it. You can keep applying multiple layers until you're happy with it. You can really see the difference when compared to an unfinished part. It's definitely worth the effort to post-process. And that's 3D printing with wood. You can pick up a spool of bamboo filament from the Adafruit shop. And don't forget to watch our 3D printing show every Thursday where you can get a coupon code. That's it for this episode. Don't forget to design, share, repeat.
Okay, and we're out. So tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget 3D Thursday hangout with Noah and Pedro, and they'll show you a ton of amazing things.
It smells like wood.
Yeah, because it's
made with wood.
It smells like wood because it's made with wood. Yeah. All right. Next up, Raspberry Pi stuff. You have a specific tutorial, so I put this in the Raspberry Pi section because you talked about this earlier.
I did. This tutorial about how to program an AVR with a Raspberry Pi. So it's very handy. And Tony showed it off on the show and tell. And then if you'd like actually to bake this project, go to Learning Site and check it out. Very handy for programming Atmels or AVRs or Arduinos or whatever.
Did I talk about how it's cool that it's a Raspberry Pi programming Arduino on the show and tell, or did I do it earlier on the show?
No, you showed the show.
On the show.
Yeah, during the show and tell segment on the show when we talked about the show and tell.
I already said it.
Yeah. You can say it again.
No, it's still cool. Whatever.
It's still cool.
Okay, next up. new products. Before we get to new products, the code's phone at 10% off an Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Not gift certificate, it's not software. Back to show and tell.
Back to the show and tell. What show are we doing?
We're doing all the shows at the same time.
New products.
It's Wearable Thursday show and Askatronics. Here you go. First product tonight. What are we showing?
The first project tonight is an update of the Visa mount. This is actually a product that we had a long time ago, but Paint Your Dragon Phil B has updated it to be a little bit more compatible with all the new Pi 2s and B pluses and slots and things. And so I've got it here. I'll just hold it up. You can also see it in the photo below. But it allows you to mount a Raspberry Pi Model B, Model B V2, B plus, A plus, and Pi 2 onto the back of a monitor using the 75 millimeter and 100 millimeter Visa mount values. I think that's the true standard sizes. It's a little bit. This screen has the smaller mount pattern. So if you want to just put your Raspberry Pi on the back of a TV or a monitor, this is kind of convenient. You don't need a case. You just like pop this on, and it has a little protector. But there's plenty of space inside for like if you want to have a hat or a shield or some circuitry or whatever. It protects it, but you have a little bit of space on the back, and it's very easy to put together. And if you have a Raspberry Pi Model B V1 that doesn't have the mounting holes, we have a little edge mount kit that you can purchase separately, and you'll be able to mount it on.
Okay, and we have some additional photos of this product that I'd like to show because they're here, and when I click each
lovely photos.
one, it goes to the next
photo.
photo.
Yeah, see, like you mount in
next photo.
all the hardware that you get.
Yeah,
we even give you the screws to mount it into the Visa screws.
Oh, we're so nice.
So nice.
All right, next up. I don't even know what this thing is. I saw it in the store, and I'm like, I'll ask you later. I'm like, it's a thing you can plug. Like, I thought there was like a cable thing. I'm like, it's a connector.
The thing with another thing?
It's a thing with a connector. I'm like, this is probably useful. Something that Lady Ada got. And then she's like, I know. I'm going to sell it to everybody because I think it's really useful. So,
are you done?
Yeah, I just don't know what this is.
This is an ST-Link V2. So actually, you're right. I did buy one for me in K-Town. We were programming some STM processors. STM32s to be precise, and I was like, you know what, these little programmers are so handy. They plug into a USB port, and they basically they're assembled versions of this app note that STM brought out about how you can use an ST processor to program other ST processors. So it's called the ST-Link V2, and it has a DFU processor on it, so you can upgrade the firmware. So like any future ST processors, you'll also be able to do. So a lot of people know like AVR processors, like the AtMega and ATtiny and like at SAM or whatever. Well, there's another family from ST Micro, and they make STM processors like the STM8 little micros and STM32s, 32-bit micros. And these are very popular and low cost. And so if you want to program them or even do emulation debugging, you can do that as well using the ST-Link. So we have that. And what also is really nice is, because it plugs into USB, you can also get a 5-volt and 3-volt power supply out of it. So you can see it does SWD programming. We downloaded this free software from STM on our Windows computer, plugged it in, recognized it. We could read data from our chip, and we could program it. It's not as fast as the J-Link, but like if you're just doing ST processors, it's way cheaper and smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, the J-Link is like way fast, way fancier. But this is, good enough.
That's exactly what I thought it was.
Good.
All right,
and then sniffles.
Well, there was also some software that.
Oh yeah, this is just a photo of the ST-Link software, and there's support for like other operating systems as well. I just happen to use Windows, but anything that supports ST-Link will work.
Yeah, you use Windows because you don't really do open source, man. Because you use Windows.
You're that guy.
Yeah.
You're that guy. You're the one.
No, and the other thing is, every day when you take an elevator up to the office, the elevator isn't running open source, man. It gets you here and it's not open source.
Sometimes I take the stairs.
Stairs are open source. They are.
Okay.
Everyone agrees.
Everyone agrees.
Set that one guy.
BSD license.
Okay,
three
so
clause,
all right.
one step.
So this, I'm showing other additional things.
I know. We're doing.
So what is this?
So this is a preview of the phone 808. But what it's really showing is the lovely GPS antenna that we we purchased to go with it. So this is a very tiny passive GPS antenna. So if you have a GPS module that uses an antenna. This is just an antenna with a UFL connector, so you plug it into the UFL and you have GPS. And these are passive antennas, which means they don't have an amplifier. Basically, it's a piece of ceramic with this metal foil. The wire comes out, as you see here, with UFL connector. There's no gain or active antenna action going on here. They're passive. And that's important to know because some systems require a passive antenna and some require an active. This one's passive.
Okay.
Is it passive or active?
It's active.
Passive. But it's very teeny. So it's a very teeny little thing, 9mm by 9mm by 6mm.
I said active very passively. That's what I meant.
Okay. You got me. They're very passive aggressive. Okay, so this is another antenna that is 15mm by 15mm, so it's a slightly larger one. And it's also a passive antenna, also shown, modeled here with the Fona 808, and I'm covering it up, and then you can show most photos. Again, it's
under us there is an antenna.
Then over us, we cover the antenna. Yeah. We are the antenna.
Yeah.
And here's just a couple photos of the bottoms and tops and such. And I will show these off when I show off the Fona 808.
Yeah, okay. And then there's,
just showing off this antenna. There's a little protector shield on the back. That's what that is. But again, passive, not active.
Okay.
For passive uses only.
Okay. All right, so this is the big deal. Besides you, this is the star of the show tonight. It's the SIM 808, and it's a phone module. Call you on the phone and give you Internet of Things data.
Okay. Do you want to introduce this thing?
No.
I can talk about it.
I'm just telling people what it is, and you're going to tell people why it is.
Okay. Can you zoom out actually, because it's some of the...
Which one do you like the most here? Is this one?
This one.
You want this one?
This one.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the best one because I can see the most. But you can add me if you want.
I'll add you.
Because I just kept covering the SIM 808. So what we have here is a breakout for the SIM 808, which is a cell phone module. Like we've had the Fona module. This is a cellular module as well. However, it has a little bit extra. One more thing.
Okay.
This adds a GPS receiver as well. So not only does it have a full cellular module with data, voice, and SMS text capability, all that good stuff, but it also has a GPS receiver inside of it. So it's a little bit bigger than our normal Fonas because, again, it has this GPS chip and receiver because it's like, the 2 chips, one for cell, one for GPS. This is really good if you're doing a project where you want to get location data. It's got a really high-quality GPS receiver in it. So if you want to make a project like a tracker or something that like SMSs or text or uploads data based on location, or you can SMS and it'll tell you where it is or whatever kind of SMS-y type projects you want to do. Adding a microcontroller onto this, you can use our Arduino library, for example, very easy, or any other microcontroller. And although we do have like voice support and stuff, chances are people are going to want to use it for getting GPS location and then funneling it in or out of cellular data. So kind of handy. And then can you go back one photo?
Yeah.
On the back, you can put in a SIM card. These are GSM modules, so you would use a 2G GSM SIM card. If you're in Europe, these are really common. Pretty much every place will sell you a GSM card. If you're in the US, we actually suggest the Ting card that we put in the store. It's a T-Mobile reseller. It works really, really well. AT&T SIMs aren't always 2G compatible. We are working on a 3G module, but it's going to be more expensive and a lot bigger. So for now, we just suggest using T-Mobile or T-Mobile reseller like Ting, which is actually fairly low cost and great for Internet of Things type stuff.
Okay.
And I can show it off on
I'd like you to show it on the overhead.
I don't have a demo because I can't get GPS here because we're indoors. So I have to figure that out. But I'll figure out a demo. Maybe we'll do a video and then we'll show it off. But here you've got the module, and then I actually decapped this as well because I thought that would be really neat. So this is a decapping of the module to show you what's inside of it. It usually has a metal shield on top, but this is a MediaTek MT6260. This is a cellular chip, and this is the analog front end. This is the radio that it uses. So it uses this radio to actually do the cellular stuff, and this is the processor that does like all the baseband, whatever goodness. And then over here is the MediaTek MT3336, which is which we use the MT3339 for the ultimate GPS, which has like a little bit more like higher speed. But this one is plenty fast. It does like negative 165 dBi or dBm sensitivity. Can track like 40 satellites. It can get you all the data you want. Altitude, latitude, longitude, all the good stuff. It can also do stuff like calculate heading for you, which is kind of nice. And what's cool is that you can connect this to like, an Arduino or Arduino compatible, and you have one serial interface with flow control, and you can do all your cellular stuff and also ask it for GPS data, and also you can use the cell network as well to get GPS like location. Like you can use local cell tower triangulation to figure out what is your approximate location. So like, for example, if you can't get a GPS fix or something because you're indoors, you could instead ask the cell module, like, hey, based on the towers that are nearby, what is the location? So you can use that as well as the GPS. So it's kind of nice. You have two options. You'd have to get on the cell network to do that and have a data plan because you have to like get all this data back and forth. But that's another option for location. And then you can attach a cellular antenna here. This is just a little flexi antenna. And this is the GPS passive antenna I was talking about earlier. And then plug in a LiPo battery, and it even has built-in LiPo charging. So you can plug in a micro USB cable here into your computer or wall adapter, and it'll charge a battery so you can keep this charged. So it's very good for portable tracking stuff, and it's pretty small. I mean, like, it's not too big, given that it has to do like a full cell phone and GPS, and it can do it in pretty low power and has the charging.
This is my favorite new product that you've had in a long time.
I'm glad.
Whatever ones we have, I really like them a lot, but I really, really like this. This is the Dream Internet of Things product. It's the best one at the best price right now. You could do a lot of stuff with it. We make these here at Adafruit. So we could say made in USA if we want to. We like to say assembled in USA because there's that guy who says, well, the resistors were made in China. So that guy is busy talking.
This one guy is on every mailing list.
Yeah, he's commenting on YouTube.
He's on Slashdot.
Yeah, he's over there. He's on Hackaday. Okay, so that's all the.
So yeah, I think this will be really great. If you don't need GPS, again, you can grab the normal phone, but if you want to do GPS as well, it's only like $10 more. You add GPS, and it's all built in together, and it does all the parsing for you. It's a little bit nicer than having separate things. So I decided to go with the all-in-one.
I like this. Okay.
Great.
So that's the new products for this week, Lady Ada.
Yay.
Good job, you. Little reminder, the code is FONA. If you like that stuff and it's in stock, you can get 10% off. Just type in FONA on the way out and you get 10% off. Sometimes it's not such a good deal for us, but it's a good deal for you, so...
Everything we're showing is also 10% off.
But just go for it, yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, so we're going to do questions.
Yeah, we have some time for
Post your questions in the chat. I have a couple queued up already. We are going to do this now.
Let's do this now.
Yeah, so here's the first question of the night, Lady Ada. Yeah. So this person just bought the new Art of Electronics after pinching pennies and doing odd jobs. I'm in 9th grade and I find it a little hard to understand the math and equations. Dude, 60-year-old engineers who have been doing engineering find the math and equations a little hard. It's okay. So, as well as the concepts, how can I learn to understand a bit more of the complicated parts in order to fast track my electronics learning?
Good question. So the Art of Electronics is designed to be a textbook for Harvard students. Not saying that you would not go to Harvard, but they're just a little bit older than 9th grade. So you're actually a couple of years behind. You may not have taken like calculus or matrix multiplication math courses, and so you won't have the same background as the people that this book was originally intended to be written for. That said, it's totally normal to have a little confusion about the math. What I would suggest you do to kind of fast track your knowledge is, instead of trying to read through the book, which is like, it's huge, instead look at the book when you're interested in a topic. So work on a sound project using like an Arduino or something else that doesn't require as much math. And then when you're wondering like, well, how does that amplifier work, you can then go and read up about it in Art of Electronics. So using it as a reference, it's kind of like, I tried to read the entire encyclopedia and I was confused by stuff. It's like, well, the encyclopedia is like not really meant to be read through. Likewise, your Art of Electronics it's meant to be more of a resource and a reference, something that you'll read. I also bought my copy of Art of Electronics in high school, and it was very arcane and hard for me to understand. But then, by the time I was in college, I was referencing it a lot. So, keep it handy. Don't get rid of it. But it's something that you're going to go back to again and again. Remember, it took 20 years to write this book.
It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, just like nuclear arms. Okay, next up. I want to make a project where I can upload code and charge the onboard LiPo via the same port. How do you recommend I do this?
Sorry, what was the question?
Wants to make a project where I can upload code and charge the onboard LiPo via the same port.
Oh.
How do you recommend I do that?
Sure. We do that with, your dev board has to be designed to do this using like diodes in a special way. If you look at the Pro Trinket 5 volts, that's the 5 volt trinket, which I think is Adafruit PID 2010 or something. There's a LiPoly backpack so that you can plug it in and it charge a LiPoly battery on a plug-in board, and then also it'll power the Pro Trinket. But the Pro Trinket power supply is designed so that the USB power, it goes into a diode and then goes into the battery. I mean, you have to kind of just make sure that you don't end up like plugging 5 volts right into the battery or the battery right into 5 volts or 3 volts, whatever. So as long as your dev board is designed for it and you can look at the Pro Trinket schematics to understand it, you can definitely do it. But you have to sort of be okay with like how the power structure works and think about it ahead of time.
Okay, let's speed run like 3 questions. A group of youth teachers want to make a sensor trigger video installation. They want to have a still of a woman. Then when the sensor is triggered, an animation or video is triggered that shows her hair being blown on a limited budget, $100. How can we do this? We have an Arduino BeagleBone, older Raspberry Pi, and tons of old computer screens.
Okay. I would use a Raspberry Pi, and we have a tutorial on like how to make a button play music. That's on the learning system. It's like playing music or interactive with buttons. So just get like a Python script working where when you press a button, like something happens on the Raspberry Pi. And then connect the external HDMI monitor, and then you're going to use a command line program called OMX Player. And it's a very fast video player that will be able to play the video. So what you might end up doing is have like this image displayed, and then you'd run OMX Player to like play the video. Or instead, actually, you might pause the video and unpause it. You'd have it on a loop, and then you'd pause and unpause it. So like it would pause when her hair is not blowing, and then when you unpause it, it would blow or something. So that's kind of what you do. I would just recommend a Raspberry Pi. And people could probably do it too. I just don't know the name of the program you would use.
Well, let me tell you one way not to do it. We went to the IBM Watson Center, and they bought like 50 like Kinects, and it turns out they just didn't do a good job. So then they had to do this laser thing. So when you walk up to something, they have these personas. It's like, I'm a person who wants to get Watson because I want to discover the next big recipe. And like as you walk near each one. By the way,
don't do that.
By the way, if you go to IBM's Watson Center to visit Watson, you can't. At the end, they say, we actually can't have you ask Watson questions.
Someone's a little bitter.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
They said it's because
the
voice recognition stuff never works out, and we wouldn't want to have someone have a bad experience. And I said, great, can I just type to Watson? Type. And the answer is no.
Type recognition isn't working.
No. You actually have to fax Watson. Who would have thought? Okay. All right. We're going to another question. Okay, can you explain the 2 different GPS antennas? Is one negative 2 dBA gain better, or is the 1 dB gain?
The higher the gain is better, so that you want a larger antenna. There's just one that's a little teenier and one a little bigger. I thought I'd get 2 because like there's some situations where you might want to have a very small antenna for some project. So I got like the smallest antenna you could get and kind of like the medium-sized antenna. Maybe one day I'll get the large antenna, but for now, those are the 2 antennas I got.
Okay.
Let's work.
All right, so those are the questions. By the way. All right, let's do a trivia question. Lady Ada.
Yeah, what's up?
What are the rules?
The rules are if you have won a prize from this show, you can't enter again. Only one winner per my lifetime. And if you if you've already won, just like go make a sandwich or something, or like watch a TV show instead of, because if you answer, it's like sad. You want everyone to win. The first person to type the answer in the chat, the correct answer as we see it, YouTube and Ustream are both running tonight, will be the winner. The winner wins a phone 808.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Let me just do one of my favorite things here.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second.
Okay, well, you win a Phono 808, and because
sorry, everyone.
I'm feeling generous, you also get a GPS antenna.
Yeah, just 1 second.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
1 more second here.
Okay.
All right, good.
All right.
I banned that guy. Bye. So.
Is that guy who's on the mailing list?
Yeah, something like that. All right. You'll get a Phono 808. If you win, email support@adafruit.com, of course, and you say Phono 808. If you have the PID, it is helpful. So the trivia question for the night is the big Raspberry Pi news, because Raspberry Pi is owned by Broadcom. What is the name of the company that bought Broadcom? What's the name of the company
a company just acquired Broadcom.
Yeah, for $37 billion. That's almost as much as InstaSnap was acquired for. How much? $37 billion. What's the name of the company? You guys type it in the chat, and then, you know. The answer is not Space Invaders. The answer is not 789. The answer is not Spider-Cat, but Spider-Cat's a really good answer.
One day it might be the answer.
Spider-Cat. See, I smile. You had to say Spider-Cat. Not George Washington. Okay, the person who got it in the chat is this one. You had to spell it right.
Yeah.
Olivia. Wait.
No.
God darn it.
Stop. No, it's this person.
This one right here. Positive bits.
Positive bits.
Positive bits in the YouTube.
So it's like streaming.
Positive bits got it. Positive bits. Got it. All right, positive bits in the YouTube channel. Email support@adafruit.com. Broadcom
was purchased by Avago.
Avago and Broadcom is a chip that's inside or on. It's not inside. It's on the Raspberry Pi, and we'll see what happens. Like Broadcom's kind of subsidized the whole Raspberry Pi thing. Did an amazing job. There's a Raspberry Pi trading company, Raspberry Pi Foundation, and Broadcom is still uniquely involved in some way. Will it change anything? Probably not. But who knows?
I didn't know Avago did anything that make LEDs. I was like, wait, Avago? It turns out they're like massive. I didn't know that they had money to buy.
I didn't think I always think it's Broadcom so big that there's not a bigger fish. There was a bigger fish.
No, I didn't like that. Yeah. My God, they must have been huge, but I guess not.
Yeah,
they make great chips.
Okay, that's the show for tonight. We will see everybody next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be Danielle, CEO of Other Machine Co., and Zach, CEO of Particle.io, formerly known as Spark.io. We'll have them both on the show.
Sparkle.
Other Spark.
Particle
Mill. Okay, that's it.
All right, it'll be fun-filled next week.
Yeah, here's a picture of a cat, and here is your moment of Zener. Oh, yeah, don't forget to buy some stuff to Coates' phone. Here's your cat again. And then here's your moment of Zener.